You're still watching FCT Brief, and we're still discussing strategic security with Bayelsa State in focus. We still have with us in the studio the Commissioner on Communications and Strategy to the Bayelsa State Governor, Evarada Abednego. Well, I like that name.
It's technical advice. It's technical advice, not commissioner.
Oh, technical advice. I beg your pardon. Well, let's move along. Tantita Security Services has been praised for protecting the oil pipelines and boosting oil production. But recently, we hear talks about a tension between them and security agencies. Can you let us into what is actually happening?
I think anytime the government strategically brings in non-formal security arrangements to drive the process of strengthening the security facets of the country, it's always a good thing because that is part of involving the people. It is true that with the introduction of Tantita security in the Niger Delta particularly, it has yielded fantastic dividends. It has not happened because they have a magical wand. It is because the governors within the region have realized that, look, the only way they can drive development in their areas is to ensure peace and tranquility, to protect critical assets of government. You cannot allow crude oil thefts, in your area and pipeline vandalization because some communities feel that they have been over-marginalized, even though sometimes we know it's reasonably plausible thoughts in the minds of the people. You can't have pipelines like in my family. In my mom's place, a community called Elebele, pipelines are passing under the kitchen and the beds of people. And you don't see any federal presence in that area. And you realize that when you come to Abuja, you see flyovers on dry land. And in our place, you can't have one that looks like a kilometer of federal road. It's embarrassing. And so sometimes the people may be lured into doing things that are sinister in nature. But all of that, we say, we must talk to our people. We must work together. And so when you say you have Tantita, what does Tantita do? Is to complement the conventional security agencies, one, in procurement of informations, and of course they do not carry arms. Much so, we are trying to discourage anything kinetic arrangement within the Niger Delta, and we're using Bayelsa State at all times as a case study that we can get it right in security with zero kinetic arrangement if only we weave in the people. There is therefore isn't any conflict whatsoever. But because we have interrelationships as human beings, sometimes there could be a little misunderstanding, but we always gloss it through and work over all of that. What we have today is a beautiful collaboration between Tantita, the people of the different communities, security agencies, and it can't be better than now. All we need is sustaining it, and it will yield better dividends for this country, for the federal government and the state government, because we get our emoluments largely from the federal government to drive the process of development and change.
Okay. No state can claim to be an island when it talks about when we talk about security or economic development. Now, in the Niger Delta, what is the relationship of the various states, especially Bayelsa? Because if Bayelsa is safe, like you said, and your neighboring states are not safe, you're going to have a spillover of criminality into your state. So what are you doing in collaboration with other states to ensure that we have security in the Niger Delta or in the South-South, and to have this economic integration of the various states?
Yeah, I think the desires of the people of the Niger Delta are largely the same, except that Bayelsa State has a much more, difficult terrain in terms of development. And also crime fighting, because it's more riverine than River State. And my former principal, Senator Henry Sirake Dixon, will say Bayelsa State is more riverine than River State and more deltaic than Delta State because of the sea, the rivers, the streams, the creeks, the rivulets. Bayelsa State is indeed on top of water, and therefore crime fighting in terms of security is much more difficult than River State and Delta State. But having said that, we have come to the realization that we cannot get it strategically if we're not weaving the requisite support from sister states. And that's why the governor of Bayelsa State continues to show leadership by reaching out to the governor of Delta State, the governor of River State, and beyond just the governors of these states, bringing traditional rulers, opinion leaders, critical stakeholders across party line, bipartisan. And it's been working because we understand that over the years, and not just within our region, what the conventional security agencies have been able to do, and they continue to do, sometimes they are overstretched. It's sometimes not yielding the result because the perquisites of operations are sometimes so in lack. What they are in Bayelsa State, we try to let other states to know that, look, we're providing the watercrafts, the landcrafts. We are providing area coverage. Let me say for the right reasons. In Bayelsa State, both the exit and the entry points of the state are covered aerially. The quantum of drones we have in Bayelsa State can be compared to what any state has. The federal intelligence agencies in this country will understand that crime fighting in Bayelsa State is beyond what a state does. Because of our difficult terrain, we decided to apply advanced technology by acquiring logistics from foreign countries. And the police can attest to that, the DSS can attest, the military, what the Navy does in Bayelsa State in terms of marine operations is largely what they get from Nigeria Police Command in Bayelsa State, because our drones are up in the sky, mapping and monitoring everywhere. Look, let me say it. There is no part of Bayelsa State that if you are committing a crime, that you are not going to be captured, and not just your image, even the voicing, because it's HD definition in all things. That is our advanced technology that we are working with foreign countries. And when we come to talk about security in Bayelsa and the essence of collaboration and building synergies with other states, when any governor gets to Bayelsa State within our region, they say, how are you doing it? And when they are giving just a tip of it, they marvel. And that is why even the National Security Advisor understands that, look, the peace in Bayelsa State is not just because it's just one piece. It's because there's leadership, and this is strategic, and it's working because there's collaboration of necessity between the government showing leadership, patriotism, inclusivity. Because another thing that sometimes poses grave challenges and imperative threats is when you think that you're going to abandon some people, exclude them. No, good governance, and especially in strategic security, requires that within every person, the nest of fighting crime must involve all persons. The governor of Bayelsa State does not know a political party when it comes to matters of security. So whether you're the UPC, Labour Party, any party, PDP, all of us, because if we're safe, then Bayelsa State is safe. You first have a safer environment before you start thinking about becoming the governor or president or senator. And that is why we're driving the process with patriotism, inclusivity, and showing an uncommon political will and zero interference in matters of crime and criminality. We use the moment to also urge all governors in the country that where crimes and criminality, matters of crime and criminality are perpetuated in your region, please allow the security agency to do the needful. We have an uncommon law enforcement process in Bayelsa State that the governor does not in any way get involved. He allows the security agency to do the job, but the governor, through certain committees, monitors and ensures that proper evaluation, investigation, arrest, and prosecution are done without malice.